oath in the Quran that he is going to protect this book. So it's under the protection of Allah, and one of the methods of that is through the Hufaz. So like it's a big responsibility, and it never leaves you in your entire life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome back to another episode of The Muslim Mindset. Today we have a young guest, alhamdulillah. It is a brother of mine that I was in class with for many years. It's a man who's known my family for a very long time, alhamdulillah. We've been through 2 different cities together, alhamdulillah. I can't complain about him. He's a brother of mine that I am so happy to have in my life. He is Hafiz Ziyad Jean.
Alhamdulillah. So, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah for having me on the podcast, and inshallah we'll have insightful discussion for the audience.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Today, obviously, we're going to be talking about how Islam really impacts an individual at a young age and throughout the adolescent age period. Obviously, Ziyad here being a born and raised Muslim and being now at the beautiful age of 18 and a Hafiz of Quran, mashallah.
MashaAllah. Allahumma barik.
He is a man who can truly give us an insight into the discipline that Islam really instills into people at any age. Alhamdulillah. So really just want to start off and just get to know you. Just what really is your story and how you became Hafiz Ziyad Jean.
Okay. So in order to start this, we'll have to go back to when my family first moved to Adelaide. We were about... So when I say we, I'm referencing myself and my older brother, who's about 2.5 years older than me. But I was 6 years old when we moved to Australia. We moved to Adelaide, and then the journey of Hifz was a lot of motivation came from my parents. So like every day on the way to school, like the short surahs at the back of the Quran, my father would read to us, and then we would read back to him, and that's how I memorized the common surahs that every Muslim needs to know. Then after that, my parents sat me down and asked me whether I wanted to pursue with Hifz. Alhamdulillah, I said yes. And then unfortunately, especially at that time in Adelaide, there wasn't Islamic infrastructure like a madrasa or something, or like a proper Hifz class to go to. So we had to seek online resources, with technology nowadays. So then it became for half an hour every day online on Skype with ustads in Pakistan. So alhamdulillah, with that I managed to memorize at least one or two juz of the Quran. And then the issue is at a young age, especially when a lot of the motivation, you don't understand what you're getting into. So like a lot of the motivation had to come from my parents, and then at times when A'udhu Billah, it felt like a chore. Like homework, like your parents make you do something.
Yeah.
But today I can stand here and say that I'm eternally grateful to Allah for using my parents as a means of getting me to the Quran. But so then slowly as we grew up, we moved to the Gold Coast, alhamdulillah. I was about 3 juz then, and alhamdulillah there was a madrasa at the masjid. But like even then, new school, like finally growing up through the ages of like the end of primary school, the beginning of high school, like as a child, especially growing up in Australia, your focus is not where it should be. Like it always felt like I'd be like, why do I have to go and spend all this time learning before I get to school, then go to school, then go and read to the ustad, then only get home at like way later when all of my friends are, on the game, they're all playing all these games, doing all that. But I didn't understand. Alhamdulillah, like now I do, and I'm very grateful for that, but I didn't understand. Then at the age of 12 years old, when we went on holiday to South Africa, at this point, after studying in the Hifz class, I was about maybe 10 or so juz, 7 or 10 juz around there. But unfortunately, my door was not... Like it was more focused on learning new stuff versus revising.
The revision stuff.
Door means, when I say door, I mean like the strength of the Quran that I know up to wherever I am. So a lot of the focus was on learning more and getting to know more of the Quran instead of like reinforcing what I know at the same time as learning more of the Quran. So then on a 12-hour road trip in South Africa, my parents spent the entire time posing to the question of full-time hifz to my brother and I. So it was a foreign concept to me, but eventually, after much convincing from my parents and a decision that I did not fully comprehend, let's say that at the time.
How did you feel about it at the time?
So I was scared. I was scared because I heard a lot of stories about like how the Hifz classes are in South Africa, like the dynamics of the children, like a foreigner coming from South Africa who's so young, easy pickings, you know what I mean? And like I was not aware of like how much dedication it took. So I'll just give you an example of what the day to day is like of in that full-time Hifz class, alhamdulillah. So it would be beginning at 4:30 a.m. I would wake up, go straight to the masjid for Fajr. So this is before Fajr now. Fajr is about 6:15. So from 4:30 to 6:15, completely foreign concept to me, but the environment in that place is full of barakah, alhamdulillah. Like just being in a Hifz class where there's maybe 70 other people sitting at the same time of the day at the same place, all just reciting Quran. Like the entire masjid is just full with the recitation of Allah's word. So it was an insane experience. And then after that class, I would go home and then have some breakfast, take a shower, and then come back at 7:15. So it was about an hour break. Now 7:15, this is like the long class of the day. So it's 7:15 till 10:15. Straight of memorizing the Quran, and then there's like a 15-minute break, and then again until about 1 p.m. Then there's a break from 1 p.m. to about 3 p.m. Come back for 3 p.m. until like maybe 5:30, and then Maghrib to Isha is the last class of the day. So you finish after Isha.
Wow.
So all in all, it was about 11 hours straight in a day of simply being in the masajid with your only intention being to memorize Allah's word.
So basically starting off 4 a.m. and then ending off Isha at what, like 6:37ish?
It's like 8 o'clock. Yeah.
8 o'clock?
That is crazy.
Man, that's killer.
That's a lot of discipline as well.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. But like when you're in that environment, it's like there's maybe like it was absolutely crazy to me. There's maybe 7 or 8 ustad who are all alim, all sitting in that class, and they all want the best for you. Alhamdulillah, I'm so grateful for. I can't thank them enough in any way, shape, or form for the gift that they have given me. So like it was a tough journey, but like for example, when I just got there, I wasn't even able to start learning the Quran like I thought. I wasn't even able to memorize anything. I had to memorize maybe like 4 or 5 pages in a small kitab of simply the tajweed rules of how to be able to recite Allah's kalam properly.
Like the grammar.
Yeah. So the Arabic grammar, the pronunciation,
Yeah.
because I'd never had that in my entire life. But alhamdulillah, the way that they teach it and the way that they taught it, it's something where like right now I might not be able to tell you the names of the rules or give you all of the examples that I once knew. But when I'm reading the Quran, it's automatic. I don't have to think about it. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. This reminds me of like when I started Hifz with you guys here. And they, Ustad Abdullah, he put me back on Quranic ayah.
You know that.
Bro, what did you call me? Tajweed Sheikh. Bro.
So I'm curious, and I think a lot of our viewers out there will be too. How do you reckon Islam is taught to, like the discipline of Islam, right? How do you reckon that's taught to children in this religion?
Okay, so I feel like it varies culturally, but from the South African perspective, it's instilled consistently at a young age.
Right.
But in my opinion, there's a very fine line between instilling it consistently so that it becomes a permanent, lasting thing in your child, and instilling it to the point where it pushes them away from the actual Islam. Because like at the end of the day, we're all human, and especially as a child growing up, when all of your friends are doing this and all of your friends are doing that, it is hard to stay on Islam. But the most grateful thing I have is that year in South Africa, alhamdulillah, by the end of that, I'd managed to finish 21 juz of the Quran, and then
out of 30.
Yeah, 21 out of 30.
Wow.
I wanted to do more. I was pushing at one point to inshallah, like to be able to finish, but my ustads were very wary of how easy, like the real journey comes once you finish the Quran and being able to keep the Quran. So they didn't want to push me too fast or let me take as much sabak, which is like new stuff that you haven't learned already. So they didn't want to let me go too far. and let my revision slip away. So it was a balance that they handled for me.
That's really interesting, actually. Sorry to cut you off there, but that's just an interesting concept. Like, because obviously a lot of people would think like if you're going through that process of memorizing the entire Quran, you'd want to learn as much as you can quickly. So it's actually I didn't know that, because obviously like when I was in Hifz and whatnot, it wasn't like obviously it was a different dynamic. It was here in Australia. 100%. But I didn't know how you guys, so the way it was in South Africa, like there was almost like a restriction on your sabak. Was that because of like, not that they wanted to disadvantage you, but almost that they wanted to reiterate the importance of 100%. The actual quality
100%.
Rather than the quantity?
100%. So like an example would be, you're allowed to take sabak, like new stuff in the morning before Fajr, and then you can only take new stuff again once you've read at least 2 juz of your revision.
Wow.
So
two whole chapters.
Two chapters of your revision, and when you read it, it has to be a maximum of 2 tajweed mistakes. So you can pronounce something incorrectly, but if you like read a wrong ayah and they say that is wrong, and you can't say the right one, that is a hifz mistake. So you can only have 2 tajweed mistakes and 1 hifz mistake in your Quran. So like a lot of the time would be spent learning it, but alhamdulillah, the Quran is something where the more you recite it, the more you fall in love with it, and the more I can't even describe how it solidifies in your heart. It takes away everything else. And then alhamdulillah, when I came back from South Africa, my revision was in a very good state, where I wouldn't have to learn before I was able to read. But then I finished my jalsa with Imam Imran here. When I was 14 years old. Yeah, your previous guest. Yeah. When I was 14 years old, alhamdulillah. That was when I finished the Quran.
Do you think during your hifz, they gave you the necessary tools to, I guess, continue your discipline and memorizing the Quran?
Yeah. So, 100%, my ustads were very adamant on, like, consistently reminding me how easy it is to let your Quran slip away. Especially in an environment like a Western society, where like when I came back, it was okay, now it's grade 10, 11 and 12, then it's university, then it's like you're working, so like life comes in, you know what I mean? And like all the fitnas and all the shaitan, like everything that's wrong can easily like cause you to, the less time you spend, the key is consistency. That's what they were enforcing. But obviously, like at a young age, I kind of took it for granted. I kind of took it for granted what I had, and like let myself like, okay, I've just dedicated my time so much. Now I can like play around. You know what I mean?
But that's not your fault though. You was only 8. You were only 14, man. You're young. Like it almost like begs to. Did you almost like when you were there and when you were, and even afterwards, did a part of you almost just want to be like, forget it? I just give up almost. And just before you continue, a follow-up question, right? Obviously you didn't give up. Alhamdulillah, you became a Hafiz of Quran. What in your heart kept you going? Like even those days that you nearly were like, I'm leaving, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going back home. I guarantee there were those days, because I had them too.
There were plenty of those days. I can't explain to you. It would be like I would just think that like my ustad were being too hard on me, because alhamdulillah, like they took an easier stance on my brother than they took on me, but it was because they saw how, alhamdulillah, how easy it was for me to be able to like learn the Quran compared to my brother, right? So we all know, and for the viewers, that Allah rewards the person who struggles more than the one who finds it easy. But they saw, I'm not boasting when I say, but they saw my potential. Yeah. So they'd limit me in ways that I didn't understand, and often at that age my parents are away, like there's all the dynamics of the other boys in the class, like there'd be tears. There were multiple moments where I was on the phone with my parents, like I can't do this, like it's too much of me, I want to come home. But then answering the follow-up question, it's it has to be my parents once again, my parents, and also like my love for the Quran. That's all that there is, because my parents were very understanding of the situation that I was in, but my grandparents as well were very supportive. I can't explain how supportive they were. So it was more like the environment that I had. I was very attracted to it. Like you want to spend your entire day learning Quran. You like after you spend the entire day learning Quran, I'd want to go home and before I slept read more so that I was able to take more sabak in the morning in the Fajr class. So it's like when you're in that environment, especially coming from Australia into that environment, what kept me going was like the stark difference and how beneficial just being in a place like that. I didn't want to take it forward. I didn't want to take advantage of it. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't want to take it for granted is what I was trying to say.
Would you say you almost got addicted to the feeling that you got from?
Yes, without a doubt. It was always every day. It was striving to like be able to read more of my, like be able to take more sabak, so more pages, and at the same time be able to do that while reading more of my, like reading more chapters of my revision. So it was always like you're always competing with your, like I find like I'm a perfectionist. That's what my ustad told me. So I'd always want like no mistakes in my sabak. I'd always want no mistakes in my door. I'd always want to like push myself to the best. And alhamdulillah, that has had a lasting impact on not only just my Quran, but my mindset to life and my mindset to Islam.
That's a big one. That's what I was thinking, right? Because I was curious. Also, big shout out to Ustad Abdullah. We love you. We miss you. We gotta get you back on. We gotta get you back on the coast. We gotta get you on the show, inshallah. But it interests me when you mention how it changed your mindset, right? How it changed your outlook. You say it changed your outlook on Islam, right? And I'm in no way do I mean like take Islam but in how did that really impact your outward life? Because obviously you're a university student now, right? And you finished you were finishing your high school while also being a Hafiz of Quran. So how did you being a Hafiz impact you while you were at school and even now while you're at uni? Because it's a Western environment.
Day to day, you know.
So that year especially, and the whole process and the journey of becoming a Hafiz taught me one word. If it's one word it taught me, it's discipline. It's discipline in terms of like then it was discipline of like every day being in the masajid and doing the work, doing the actual hard yards. But once you come out of it, it's like it's almost as though you've been through something that is a bigger challenge than anything you can face on this earth. So it wasn't like it may have been easy for me to learn new pages, but the journey was very difficult. Like in my experience, for me, there was a lot of times where I wanted to quit and stuff. So it teaches you like perseverance. It teaches you it's not just teaching. It sort of instills it into you that you don't have a choice other than to have that. That's how you are after you come out. So like even with like day-to-days of like you know when you in grade 10, 11 and 12, or all your friends like they go out, they do stuff, they
for sure,
you know what I mean?
Those things that we don't want to talk about. You got to live it, man.
So there's always, obviously as Muslims we all know that Allah is watching us, but there's always there's a direct impact on if I do this to my Quran. So like even for example listening to music, right? You can literally, if you listen to music, you can literally feel your Quran slipping away.
Yeah, man. That happened. That was
crazy.
bad. That was
crazy.
tough for me.
So
that's actually, it's interesting because you briefly just said, obviously, you noticed the differences, right? Obviously, what grade were you when you finished your hips? You were 14, so you've been like year 9, isn't it?
Yeah, year 9.
That's mad.
But I was year 9 because so I skipped grade 8 while I was in South Africa.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, alhamdulillah, I was already 1 year ahead in school.
Yeah.
I skipped grade 3, and then when I came back after skipping grade 8, my school did not make me repeat grade 8. They put me to where I would have been, so grade 9. So that's why I was able to graduate like 2 years younger than my cohort.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah.
But yeah, what I was getting to is actually just to recognize. To recognize almost like, obviously, because you not only are you would have been in high school a lot, like way before us, obviously at our age, but you would have had a different outlook because obviously, like you've touched on the fact that discipline was instilled in you, right? You had that perseverance, almost that drive to like be, good at almost everything.
And personally, I didn't have that discipline or that drive. You know what I mean? So like, I guess looking back, I kind of wish that I had gone through something like HIFs. You know what I mean? Because that would have set me up in my entire life for success.
Yeah.
You know what I
Alhamdulillah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's a great ni'mah of Allah, but one point that I do want to touch on is there's also like the flip side of things where, especially when as a child at a very young age, starting hifz is you don't realize what you're taking on. So I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
a burden, but it is a responsibility, because now for the rest of your life you are one of the people who are protecting the word of Allah.
Yeah, because the
So-
definition of Hafiz
Mhm.
is protector.
Yeah, exactly. And Allah took oath in the Quran that He is going to protect this book. So it's under the protection of Allah, and one of the methods of that is through the Hufaz. So like it's a big responsibility, and it never leaves you in your entire life. So
Is that ever almost like? Do you ever almost feel like afraid of that?
I do. It's scary because like you can't ever
Let it go.
let it go. You can't ever. It hurts. It physically hurts to know that it's like that your revision, like your door, is not in the state that it was. It physically hurts. Like it's a different type of pain because you know what it took to get to that point, and then how easy it is to just slip away.
Yeah, man.
So it's like it's a big responsibility, and like when you instilled on as a young child to do this, you don't imagine yourself doing that for the rest of your life.
Have you ever like recently, obviously since you've been Hafiz, and in the last few years, have you ever like almost cried at the fact that your
I
daughter
can't
isn't there?
explain to you how many tears on the musalla there've been, how many tears to my parents there've been, but like it's a different type of pain because the blame is only on oneself. The blame is not on anyone else.
Do you think that's a big thing, even outside of his? Islam really teaches us
It
to
does.
take our
Accountability.
Accountability
Yeah.
for sure, and that's what
100%.
I've learned, especially coming to this religion as well. It's all about your.
How has your accountability really been impacted by you being a Muslim? Because you've not been Muslim for long.
No,
Has
no,
your
it's true.
accountability really changed in the last like several months?
For sure, like that. One of the reasons why I'm so consistent at the mosque, right, is because if I don't go, then like I'm holding myself accountable to that. Because on the
Yeah.
day of judgment, you know, I want to
we're
stand in front of
yeah.
Allah Azza wa Jal as
Yeah.
you know, as a good, decent person. You know what I mean? And you know, alhamdulillah, I am fearful of God in a
Alhamdulillah,
sense. You know,
Alhamdulillah.
but
Very important, yeah. The concept of fearing God, fearing Allah, it has a different type of impact, because I'm sure you can relate to this because obviously you weren't a Muslim before, but previously, and from what I've heard from people who do not currently have Allah, is like when you close the door, you can do what you want because no one's seeing, no one's
Exactly
seeing
right.
you. So like it's not your fault, because the only thing that would be like, it won't impact how others think of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's only what you know inside yourself.
but then having a belief in Allah or God or you know or anything really,
yeah.
behind closed doors, like you really feel that sense of, you know, should I be doing this, or you know what I mean, like,
yeah.
and hold yourself accountable to
Yeah.
that.
You're never alone, man.
You're
That's
never
what I
alone.
love about the thing is
Exactly.
though, like some people say that's like, oh, it's almost kind of scary. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it
100%.
because it means like, because you can look at it both ways. You can look like, oh, always someone's always keeping an eye on you, but I like to think of it like someone's always looking out for you.
It's not. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's not just someone. It's the creator of all.
Exactly right.
Your creator and my creator. So
Like,
I
how
would
can
not
you
want
not feel-
anyone else to be looking over me throughout my entire life.
How can you not feel like you're on top of the world when you know you've got Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bro?
100%.
beautiful.
100%. It truly is a
Subhanallah.
big blessing.
Like I know I asked you before, there's that balance of almost like worry and sadness that you're not there. But is there also like the flip side of that? Like you're almost like at joy with yourself. Like
Yes.
you did it, man.
100%. 100%. So okay. So there's two parts to this.
Because obviously you don't want to get prideful as well. That's the struggle.
Yeah, there's two parts to this. So firstly, one thing that I did hear from one of my ustads is that a commonly thought thing is the day that a Hafiz has his jalsa and graduates from the Quran is the best day of their life. In the time I thought that. But in truth, it's actually one of the saddest days of my life, because after that point, there would never be a time where I was reading the Quran as much as I was getting to that point, because it's always that motivation of, okay, I need that jalsa, I need to finish, I need, and then you get to that point and it's like, okay, I have. Then it just slowly starts slipping away. But then the flip side to that is, at least in my experience, it's just the motivation doesn't disappear, because you know that you've done it already.
Yeah.
So it's like,
what's stopping you from doing it again?
Alhamdulillah, it's all in Allah's control. But if you have the correct intention and if you dedicate yourself with the consistency, then Allah is there for you.
Do you think as well, coming into your adult life
Mhm.
now, that since your Quran has been slipping away for
Yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah.
do you feel almost that motivation to, pick it back up?
100%, 100%.
Ramadan would be a huge.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, if it wasn't for Taraweeh and Ramadan, not just myself, but I'm speaking for a lot of Hufaz around the world, we don't know what our Quran would be, because there's nothing like the accountability of how standing on that musalla, leading the Taraweeh,
Wow.
is going to humble you.
Yeah.
Whether
do
you are
remember?
whether you are too prideful, or whether you don't know enough but you want to just pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Just like mentally not allow yourself to think about it and take accountability for your actions.
Do you remember when we were like our first year of Hifz with Imam Imran, and
Yeah.
then he made us lead at Carrara?
Yeah.
All of us, you, Zain, Daniel, me, Mubarak, we all said we felt cold.
Yeah.
It's just terrifying.
So alhamdulillah, since then, like, I was able to have like a few years of leading Tarawih at the Islamic school.
Yeah.
Then now in a masajid, it's easier.
Yeah.
Like there's
environment's there.
Yeah. There's no like, it's not getting nervous of being there and reading in front of people. That's not there anymore. It's simply about the nervousness of, like, did I need to learn this another time? Did I learn this enough? Like, so like, even like, you start preparing for the next Ramadan literally once you come out of this Ramadan, because it's always like, okay, I read from the first quarter last year. Now I need to read from the second quarter, then the third quarter, then the fourth quarter, and it's a cycle and it constantly repeats. So you never, like, alhamdulillah, the way Allah has made His religion, like, you can never be far away from Allah
Yeah.
for any amount of time.
That's beautiful, man.
Mm.
That's honest to
It
God.
really
That
is.
is a really peaceful sense.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Now, obviously, we're getting to the end of the episode.
Mhm.
And honestly, one thing that I really want to hear from you, not
Yeah.
just for me, but even for Junaid and for everyone else listening,
Yeah.
and you can look to the camera for this
Mhm.
one. What would you say to anyone out there, whether they've not thought about it or anyone that even is considering
Mhm.
starting their Hifz al-Quran at whatever age? What's the biggest thing that they need to prepare themselves for?
Okay, so we've touched on the responsibility part of what it is to take on, but I cannot physically urge you enough to take that step. Take that step, whether it be learning one ayah of Quran a day, whether it be learning one page of Quran a day, whether it be learning one juz of Quran a day. It does not matter. As long as you are consistent with the right intention, that is key, because you can't do it for the pleasure of, my uncles are going to know that I'm a Hafiz. My grandma is going to know that I'm a Hafiz. Like, all my friends are going to know that I'm a Hafiz. Like, they can boast about me. You know what I mean? That's an incorrect intention. Has to be solely for the purpose of pleasing your creator and guarding the book, and then take that step. Take that. I'm honestly saying it was the greatest ni'mah and blessing that I've ever received in my entire life. And I don't think anything will ever be able to beat it. So there is uncertainty. It's not going to be an easy journey. But alhamdulillah, have your faith in Allah and put the effort in with the right intention. Whether you learn one ayah a day or not, if you die in that state, inshallah, Allahu Alam, you'll be resurrected on the day of Qiyamah as a Hafiz. Alhamdulillah.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah.
That's beautiful. And I think before we end, I just want to ask, what's your favorite ayah or surah in the Quran?
So...
And why?
And why as well, yeah.
Okay, so from childhood, I've always had a special liking to Surah Rahman, but that's very common. That's very
Yeah.
common. Like, there's nothing more beautiful than, like, it's so unique in that almost every other ayah is فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, and which of your Lord's favors are you going to deny? So it's always, it brings you, it centers you reading that, when you, especially when you read the translation of it as well. But after my Hifz journey, I would say that my favorite surah is without a doubt Surah Maryam. Not only about the meaning of it, but you can just, it's different. Like, the way that the ayat are, it's not similar to any other chapter in the Quran, in my opinion. So like the specific, like, it's short ayah, but they're all so unique, and like the story that it tells is truly amazing. So like, yeah, without a doubt, Surah Maryam is my favorite. In chapters in the 16th juz of the Quran.
MashaAllah. Yeah, chapter of Mary, mother of Jesus, peace be upon him. MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, Jazakallah khair for being on the show, bro.
Ameen,
Honestly,
ameen.
It's been a blessing to have you on.
Jazakallah.
Real-
Jazakallah for having me. And Jazakallah for letting me speak to the audience.
Of course.
Inshallah, they enjoyed the
Inshallah.
talk.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
I mean, Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hell of an episode, man. What do you think?
Beautiful words and statements as well about
Yeah.
the discipline of.
Yeah, it's such an interesting topic for so many people as well, because there's so many people out there that will be considering starting their
course,
hifs,
yeah.
or even if you're doing your hifs right now.
And even for someone like me that doesn't know too much about what goes on in the day-to-day life of being a hifs as well, you know, it just brings some light and awareness to what goes on behind it. So
it's really
very interesting.
It's very interesting. Inshallah, we'll get to have him on soon again. We've finished Ramadan now, but next year, inshallah, when Tarawih is going on again, we'll be standing behind him in Salah one more time.
Can't wait, inshallah.
Thank you again for coming and tuning into the show, guys. Like, share, comment, and subscribe as always. Inshallah, we'll be having plenty more guests on. It's been going well so far.
I think so too. I hope you guys
real
are
thanks to all of you out there. All of you since we started have really made an impact on us. Like some of the messages we've received of encouragement and joy.
Thank you so much, guys.
We can only thank you. If it we as the Muslim Mindset, as the team we are, couldn't get as far as we are without you. So please keep doing what you're doing. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.